Hello everyone and welcome back to Neopets the Darkest Faerie. Last time we finally made it to Cogum, only to temporarily deal with the Ixie Raider threat. Now we get to go through this kind of weirdly nicely detailed little cavern here in order to make it to our next destination, in order to fully get rid of the chieftain and the overall threat on Cogum. I don't know what it is, but just with me and just PS1, PS2 graphics, especially stuff like this, your mind just is allowed to fill in the details that are just not able to be filled in by the game itself, which just makes things a little bit more, shall we say, pretty, open, like you want to go to there almost. I don't know, I like it. Especially now we're into the mountainous region of the Cogum Steppes. This rather big, triangular-shaped kind of map deals with a lot of verticality, as the enemies also pop in all of a sudden, okay? Now, in terms of our mode setup, I mentioned last time that the Ixie Raiders, the Huntsmen and the Archers, kind of have two different elemental affinities with them. Last time I used fire, so now I'm going to show off the wind element, because they are supposed to be earth elemental as well. And I don't know, it's in terms of moat choice, you kind of just pick your poison almost, especially if you're able to get on within sledge. Because I find that in addition to using water moats, wind moats are also kind of effective against the Ixies. But I think the ultimate decision comes to how many moats of each element you have at that point that you want to put onto your sword. Because even though you might have a distinctive, okay, this will be really good against one particular enemy, you do have to think about how many moats you actually have. So I'll probably be sticking with wind for the majority. I think I'm going to do that. Then again, you can get a lot of earth moats in this area too. Now the other thing with this area is that it is nice and cliffed, so there is a lot of chances for you to actually fall in this area. It's also a little jarring to figure out what damage does more with each element, especially since we just got the Night Sword. Hello? We just got the Night Sword, which means that we have a lot more damage. He poses and then... Okay, he got a kickoff. Bad for me. Ugh. Great, I have 3 of them ready to go. Which is not good for me. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now I just got the archer. Now it's all fine. Yes, the Night Sword versus the Wood Sword that we just had, kind of... Did I pick that up or didn't I? Probably, I don't think I did. It's kind of night and day in terms of the amount of damage that we're able to put out. So, great investment at this point. Now, you might have noticed on the map that I put up right as we were entering the area that we only have 1 treasure according to the treasure counter on the top right there. This is going to be one of the first areas that we're going to see that really just put an emphasis on one specific treasure to find, because the Fiora's potion that we just got is not the treasure that Cogum Steppes is looking for. And to be honest, despite how many times I have played this game and looking through any sort of guides and information that I could find, I don't know what treasure chest Cogum Steppes is looking for in particular. Then again, there is something about Cogum Steppes that's a little bit different that we'll be probably showing off by the tail end of this video, so keep that in mind in terms of treasure chests in this area. You don't like ledges, huh? you think with a mountainous region like Cogum Steppes, there would be a little bit more, shall we say, verticality with its level design. Yes, there's verticality in the overall environment, but I don't find a relatively linear path with some ledges, otherwise giant chasms, to be the same as being able to go really high and then being able to go to the bottom really fast. But the first leg is pretty easy to get across. When we get into the water areas, nice rivers and whatnot. There we go. Sometimes my blocking is alright with the timing when I'm dealing with their short range attacks, and most of the times it isn't. Now, over on the west side now, there is a little tiny couple areas that are actually nestled into this place, if you'll want to look hard enough for them. For instance, looking down here, we have some golden grass in order to deal with. And this golden grass is used as a hint for many forum users back in the day in order to find an area that is really, really hidden. This little cave right over here. I personally did not find this place until many years after I first played the game. Let's just say that. Which is kind of a shame because it definitely gives you a lot of Neo points for coming in here on your first go. Welcome to the Marilode Mine, or at least a part of it anyways. It's a really small map that has 2 treasures inside of it, and is something you might hear reference of later on in the game because you'll get a little bit more pointed towards this map a little later on, but you have no idea where it is. Oh, lava moat. Okay. I'll take it. Another one of the random moat chests. But yeah, this little area is pretty much just good on its first time through for getting a good chunk of Neo points early on in the game. If you're finding that you're just kind of flying through and really not saving a whole lot of your money at this point. It also gets you a little bit acclimated to the caves area of the game, which honestly we won't be seeing much of until, again, later on. In particular, exploding crystals upon impact. And yes, they do actually hurt you with their blinding light, so just be careful about how low your health actually is. It doesn't take off a whole lot of health, but it does take off enough, let's just say that. I don't recall in any of my playthroughs actually being killed by crystals, but it can happen if you're really not paying attention. But look at all these crystals that were just exploding and almost have 200 Neo points in order to show for it. It's not a bad return. Except when they fall down or go through the rocks, as is their wont. Get up the ladder, thank you. Now, there's one treasure chest that we found in here that's easy to find. The second one, however, well, it's a treasure map. I'm just going to point that out. Otherwise, the only other treasure here is a supernova moat, which is technically our second one that we've ever found. So yeah, we'll be coming back to this area once we get the treasure map for it. So yeah, pretty much going to be parroting whatever other people do in order to find this area. Look for the golden grass in the Cogum Steppes. This is the only place you're able to find it. And then we reach the kind of midway point. I will say that the game is really good about save points. Just having them either at starts of areas, middle of areas, right before a boss. They're at least healthy in that regard. Now, on the map, there's actually a little extra area on the western side if you hug around this cliff here... Now, excuse me for reading the map a little bit wrong, but the western side always looked like an orange arrow to me, meaning that it would actually go further west into a new map. You'll see that that's not quite the case just yet, but I'm at least going to get suited up in order to deal with this giant Draconac, because of all the things that it's aligned with elementally, it is with fire. And of course, the best thing that we're able to do with this is, once I get my magic up, I can freeze him with a water moat, and then I'm able to just plow right through him with the Night Sword. What a change in equipment and understanding of elements will do in order to make hard enemies incredibly easy. So yeah, this western area only really goes to a small little lava pit. But it does go to the first place natively that you're able to pick up a lava moat. So if you don't, say, by chance get it from a chest, or you didn't buy one from Matara, then the first one you're probably going to get is in this area. Simple enough. Alright, let's get back. And I don't want to go up all the ladders, but I know I'm going to have to go up some of them. I like that with speedrunning this game, it's just like you have to jump up the ladders in order to get to the top. Now I will say with areas like this, they definitely love making them open, freely traversable, with a lot of just like daring jumps and whatnot. But I think the main problem with that is that they like to have enemies, especially flying enemies, that deal with just flying around the area. And the main issue I find the developers had to tackle with is the concept of elevation. You see, like, oh boy, okay. Well, no harm, no foul there. But fighting these mountain crocobecks in particular, if you knock them off of the ledges here, there's a high chance of them, like, right there. Let's try and deal with this other one. If I can. They love knocking themselves back so hard that they just fall off the ledge. Oop, okay, I got that one. The other one fell off the ledge. You can kind of hear him. But for some reason, they just don't understand how to fly back up in order to get to where you are supposed to be. So the best thing you can kind of do is just kind of walk away, and if you really want to deal with the enemies, come back and they'll probably reset themselves. Now, I did want to make a correction because I was corrected from an early video dealing with the bandits where I said that they weren't actually Neopets of any kind, and I was corrected on that, allowing me to give even more credit to this game than I thought I was ever going to. And that is the bandits are actually Neopets, and I'll try to put up the actual comparisons that were put up there. One of them is a walkie, which I didn't even think of, because there are some Neopets that aren't in this game, and now I'm finding out more and more that, yeah, they actually are. They're just in the weirdest places and with the sharpest redesigns I've never come to expect from this game. I thought the Ixies were the most radical, but apparently I was wrong. So, yeah, kudos, and thank you for the correction. Alright. Now, what we're doing here is we're dealing with the dam system here. It actually forks into two paths, and the path we're going on now allows us to go and activate the platforms over there to rotate, which means that we can continue forward. Going on the left path first means we have to pretty much go backwards in order to go to this right path. And there's our crook back there. Let's see. I could probably jump across. Zip. Good. Now, can I deal with him this time, or is he going to fall flat on his face? Actually, it looks a little bit too far away for me to deal with. Right. Oh well, there's an archer for me to deal with anyways. There we go. Oh, he's closer now. Hey, notice me, thank you. Hey, come on. Let's do it. You need to get actually over onto my ledge, please. Come on, a little bit closer. What? Ah. Fine. All right. They just fall off the ledges and then they don't know how to come back up. It's annoying. Ever vigilant, the huntsman looks sharp like a pin to his left, so I can smack him in the butt. Sometimes I wonder when I'm able to actually sneak up on enemies and they're not prepared in order to actually fight back, if there's actually sneak attack damage that is just hidden in this game, because sometimes I find that some of my sword swipes, my 3-hit combos, one-shot the Ixies, and sometimes they don't. I have no way to confirm that. I deal with you now. Come on. Oh. How did an archer get all the way over here? There we go. Saw an archer actually coming this way. Oh well. Also, the thing about the Cogum Steps is that there are some areas that are inaccessible at this point. Like all the way over on that other ledge across the chasm. Because over here we have another split to the differently spelled Marilode Mine. And that would lead us to our zipline in order to get across the chasm, but we can't actually get in there right now. It's blocked off by rocks. Nothing we can do about it now, so it's another thing that we can possibly return to in the future. Let's make use of the dam right now. Whoop, okay. That was close. Now, there's supposed to be something in this general area. It was shown off in the cutscene. I don't know where he went, though. It's not like this game to... Well, actually, it is in this game's nature in order to just despawn things when it doesn't like them. Or if they just phase through the rocks in the ground and whatnot. Let's see. Are you back? Hey, there you are. All right. Our new pet, a Noil. There we go. Noils are kind of good pets. They're pretty much health regeneration companions. The longer you have with them, the more that your health regenerates, pretty much. At a rather slow but steady pace. If you're not thinking about it too much and you're not frequently looking at the health meter, then all of a sudden you'll notice, oh, look at all the health I have back. There is also a magic regeneration pet, Meowclops, which I believe is first available in the Meridel Plains, but I didn't really show it off at this point. Which also does the same thing, and I find that pet is a little bit more useful than the Noil specifically. Doesn't look like we're getting through that with just sword. But the map also shows this off. Whoa! What was that? Noil just kind of freaking out at that point. Oh well. It's clog duty, but on a minecart. Whoever decided to load up a minecart and push it all the way back up there and make it blocked off, I don't know what his end goal was, but we're going to use it for our gains anyways. I'm gonna keep you around anyways, in order to just conserve health. At least until I don't need you anymore. I find that other pets that do different stat increases are more important than the health and magic because you're able to just replenish them yourself pretty quickly. That was a slow-moving arrow. What's that? Usually they're pretty quick. Maybe my 3-hit combo has something to do with how much magic I have, because now it's pretty much empty and not getting the full use out of the air motes. Maybe just a thought. I don't know. So we head up here, we get to this kind of little spot, and you kind of have to do this weird kind of jump from the direction of the ladder and shimmy over to the side in order to pull yourself up. You think that you would be able to actually jump over to that ledge over there, but it turns out you can't from there. It's too low for you to jump onto. It does have a sun mote for you. Kind of wish the view was better too. But this leads us to pretty much the end of the Cogum Steps area. We're over on the eastern part now, and you can see over in the distance what we have to deal with. The Chieftain. I think it's missing a letter in there. Alright then, 2-on-1, nothing that we really haven't dealt with before at this point. Plus I like the residual hitbox that is on the third swing of the combo that just, if you don't make direct combat or contact, oh, there we go, okay. Chieftain, there we go, the eye's there now. And now our more edgy leader is going to come in order to deal with us personally. Except, he's not? We're not taking damage. Hold on, I'm going to feed my pet bat, hold on. Excuse me. Sir? Hello? Okay. His attacks are, well, fire-based, so it's safe to assume that water elemental is good against him. Apparently, a combat was only engaged when I'm not even taking damage right there. What is happening here? Oh, there we go. Finally, I got hit once. Goodness. Yeah, so the real fight technically begins now when all of his archers come on in order to play. And his Chieftain and his health meter, too. God. Be consistent with your spelling, people. You know you can get it right sometimes, but not all the time. And that was really easy. I wasn't able to explain anything. Oh my goodness. He's not a hard fight, let's just put it that way. Blech. And I guess he's dead. Either that or he just disappeared. Because all he leaves is his eye patch on the ground. And I'll point something out right now that I was doing in testing before this run. According to one of the guides that is out there, there's apparently an extension to this quest if you don't pick up the boss's eye patch here. And you just kind of go on your way back to Cogum in order to explain that it's like, yeah, I got rid of the chieftain, no problem. Apparently the mayor is supposed to say something about, it's like, where's the proof that you actually dealt with that? And then you're supposed to actually do another lap of Cogum steps in order to go back and retrieve it. But it turned out with me and my game copy specifically that didn't happen. Apparently it doesn't matter if you pick up the eye patch or not. you'll just get to the same outcome overall. And if you do another lap again, the eye patch is no longer there. It's weird. Jeez, and I got another Fiora's potion. How lucky can I be? It's also not the treasure that the map is looking for, oddly enough. Alright. So we can't get out the way we came, so now we're going to have to just go left and use the shortcut that goes out of its way back into Cogum Village, which is an entire kind of downhill slope full of jumping. Jumping everywhere. Except I find that automatic jumping is either, well, hit or miss, depending on how the game feels that day, I guess. Like here. My goodness. Depending on where you actually fall into the water, you'll actually appear in different places. One is either at the top of jumping off everything, or, depending on how far down the slope you are, you'll actually appear at the bottom, near the entrance to Cogum Village, and the game takes pity on you. All depends. Especially with this final jump that leads all the way down to the bottom. Best example of verticality that I get with this entire area. But there we go. All the way back down, and we can head back to Cogum Village. Perfect. So yeah, I don't think there's any sort of evidence that the extra dialogue from the mayor even shows up. I've tried a couple times in order to get it running on my copy, and I know that there might be some issues to my copy, give or take. But yeah, he just seems pleased overall, doesn't matter what I do. Well, I saved you too. It wasn't just for your parents specifically. At least I don't think. Behold, the population of Cogum.
Wow.
Yay. The mayor and the king will remember this. And with another redneck in tow, we're permanently happy. At least for a short time. Yeah, it's gone. Okay. And so is our Noil. Farewell. Pretty much done at this point. But now we can see the differences between what's been going on with the town now that the chieftain is gone. Including silly faces.
Hooray!
Thank you, South Park voice. Hooray! It's the first thing I think about whenever I hear that. Yeah, I think we've gotten to a longer term result. Except I don't know who this guy is. I can't even talk to him either. It just kind of shows up. Who do you belong to? Anyway. Now, instead of Gershwin being up here, it's Giovanni. They technically switch places, although I'll just say that Gershwin actually isn't in town anymore. Kind of odd that he just kind of disappears, but eventually he'll show up again. Rose here we also can't talk to anymore. She just doesn't have anything else to say to us. It's weird who they give flavor text to and who they don't. I think Stanley here has a lot of different priorities he needs to get across. But yeah, go Meridel. Go us. At least it's a little more of a push towards, yeah, Meridel isn't so bad. They don't just leave us here to deal with our own problems. Except they kind of do, but oh well. You seem judgmental. Okay. Be that way. Yeah, it is. You always gotta be prepared every time you go out. Okay, yeah, you're all good. Alright. I guess the last thing we can do is check out the buildings. Ooh, water moat. Yeah, water moats are really easy to find. I guess they're the most farmable out of all the moats in this case. Because once you get onto the Meridel Plains, if you ever want to get out there beforehand, you can stock up on a lot of water moats and get super powerful in that element really early on in the game. And it doesn't matter elemental affinity of any creature, because you're able to freeze a whole lot of enemies, it just makes sense to use them a whole lot. Now, 3 out of the 4 buildings are pretty much the same. They're just going to have slightly different dialogue, if anything. Hooray! You're not as cheery as you were last time we talked. Oh, there we go. Okay. Woo-hoo. Still impeding on the table a little bit, though. Gotta work on that. But remember when I mentioned that we had to remember Elspeth, specifically? It's a little down in the dumps, but when you talk to her after you've gotten rid of the chieftain, she gives you a quest. And it specifically has to do with how she actually grows her plants. Apparently, in the steppes, there is a bunch of growth pods that are there that she uses in order to make her supply. And she gives us the task in order to actually go out and find one of these growth pods. Now, if you were a little bit more vigilant in looking around, you might have noticed that at the very beginning of the Cogum Steppes, we passed by one that's literally almost at the very beginning of the area. You can pick it up at the very beginning, but the text is the same, which means that it's a little bit wonky that you can pick up the item and Tor knows exactly what to do with it, even though you don't have the quest for it. It's a little bit strange. But before we go back to Cogum Village, I also said to remember... I think that Mountain Croakback is still around. I'm not sure. But I asked you to remember about the treasure chest that was actually up on this ledge here, and about the treasure count of Cogum Steppes as a whole. You'll notice that it's closed again, and this isn't because I refreshed or anything. This is the same file that is still running here. This is one of the few, or it might be the only chest in the game that actually closes itself and you're allowed to reopen it as much as you want. And I have a feeling that might have to do with why I can't actually find the one treasure chest in Cogum Steppes, because I don't think there is a treasure chest for the steppes overall. At least I don't remember there ever being one. It might just be a coding error in that case. But with the growth pod from there, we actually get another red neg, so we just got 2 more health extensions out of our single run through Cogum Steppes. I think that's a good reward, especially now that we have, well, a couple more things to do, but our mission is successful, so we can actually head back over to Meridel Village and the castle whenever we really feel like it. However, I think we're going to leave that for a later date. I'm going to postpone that because there's a couple other things that we have on our list here that we should get done before we head back to the castle overall. So, I'll see you next time, everyone, as we deal with some loose ends before we head back and report back to the castle. See you then.